Hello. What's up, Patriot family? Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and happy MAGA Monday. We hope you're enjoying your Monday so far. It's a federal holiday, so everybody's off. Congress is not in office again because they had like a 5-day weekend. You know, they don't work past Thursday, so.
Well, and you know, two things. I think all Bears fans probably took today off too to nurse our wounds. But I think Martin Luther King Jr. would have been MAGA. So
I think so too.
I really do. I think he was MAGA before MAGA was a thing. Like he was like, let's get on the right side of things.
Ooh, girl, we have the SAVE Act is trending in politics on X this morning. What? I'm so excited. I'm sorry,
it works, guys. It works. Well, we've got some good news at the beginning of the show that we'll talk about. Plus, we'll continue to update you on what's going on in Minneapolis. When a Sheriff Grady Judd in Florida responds because somebody has to ask a stupid question.
Facts, bro.
He just had to help educate them a little bit. So, guys, we're glad you're watching us. Wherever you're watching us from, make sure you follow us at Real Allie Leger, at Michelle Posey, and at Open Mic Ladies on all platforms. Are you ready, Allie?
Yep, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's open that mic.
All right.
Taking back our freedom, back to where we started. We're wearing our red hat tonight. It takes more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be home.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on. My red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, he gon' ride with us. Our red hat stays on. Our red hat stays on. It's the mayor of MAGAville, the RNC King. 2024, freedom gon' ring. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm still fighting for each one of you. And keep your red hat on.
What do you do when they come for you? Freedom's what you gotta lose. Red hat stays
It's an exciting week, Allie.
Listen, so I just want to thank everybody that has been pushing out this SAVE Act, getting the SAVE Act passed. It is so important. A nation that cannot safeguard its elections cannot long guarantee its liberty for its people. So, and that's a quote from my article that I wrote. You can go to at AllieLeger.com, or not .com, but at AllieLeger on X and find it. It's there in articles. Yeah, it's just, I mean, we've had, Scott Presler has picked it up. We've got a lot of other really big accounts that have picked it up. And now that I've been commenting on some of their accounts with actual ways to participate, like calling and emailing, now they're all doing it. And so it's absolutely amazing to see, guys. Public pressure does work.
Let our viewers know, because I know sometimes we get new people that join that maybe aren't real familiar with the SAVE Act. So let them know why it's important and what is still to be done, because I know we still have it up as a call to action. We still want to make sure that they understand we support this, right?
Well, so essentially the SAVE Act was passed in the House about 9 months ago. We've been talking about the SAVE Act since then, and trying to get it, to get this much, light, right? And so what it does is it essentially keeps U.S. American citizens to vote. That's what it is. It keeps the non-citizens from voting, which we've currently seen with explosive interviews and information coming out that there have been non-citizens that are voting, whether they're legal or illegal, and that's a problem. Yeah. Right? Well, so and that's really what it is. That's what it's for.
And I had this conversation with our local supervisor of election because when I first heard about this, if you're a lot like our viewers, you just assume that, first of all, there are states that not only do not require identification for you to go vote, California, but if you try to give them your ID, they're going to tell you it's illegal for them to look at it. So that's one basket. You've got states that are literally not looking at identification in order for you to vote. The second basket is, you've got states like Florida that have a real ID, as much as I may not like some components of real ID. What you don't have on your driver's license or your state ID is something that denotes U.S. citizenship, because I can provide all the data to get a valid state ID and not be a U.S. citizen. So if we're only requiring state ID to be able to vote, who is checking? And what's wonderful here, and I can report to you here from where we're at, because I had the conversation with our supervisor of election. You should have the conversation with your supervisor of election where you're at, that they are going through the extra step of pulling DMV and other rosters to be able to cross-reference legal U.S. citizenship. It's not even mandated by state law here in Florida. They're going above and beyond what state law requires. So I ask you, our viewers, what is your local supervisor election doing? Don't let them tell you you have to provide ID in order to vote. Does that ID say whether they're a U.S. citizen or not is the real question.
And that's the purpose, right? And we already know that it's like illegal for that to happen, but it's currently happening, and there's no enforcement of the law. Yes, there needs to be enforcement of the law, but there also needs to be some kind of way that we can assure that only U.S. citizens are voting, and the SAVE Act does that. So we need to put the pressure on. We need to call not just the majority leader, John Thune, but also the majority whip, John Barrasso. And the whips are not used to getting the attention. They're not. It's usually the leadership, but the whip is a part of leadership. Now, what the majority whip is supposed to do is they're supposed to count votes, garner their colleagues, and essentially get them on board. It's active leadership, not passive. And so I made that known by putting my email very public on social media and tagging him. For whatever reason, our representatives are terrified of X. And so that is the platform we choose to use to apply.
Well, and you've really, we've really pushed that to get a lot of traction. I want to celebrate a couple of victories because we always feel like we tell you all the things that we need to fix and the call to actions. But this was a huge victory I came across over the weekend. So those of you, not just our MAHA moms and those that are fighting in the MAHA movement, but just common sense when you think about the arguments taking place at the Supreme Court about, biological males having to have that definition for them to be told not to compete in women's sports. This is huge. Take a look at this headline. This was in Wisconsin. 2 of the largest children's hospitals in Wisconsin are now stopping puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgery for minors. So this is a huge 180 that they're taking. Both of the systems cited recent changes at the federal level as motivating factors. So this tells me, Allie, this wasn't them going, wow, maybe we shouldn't cut off the healthy body parts like breasts of a 13-year-old girl just because she can throw a tight spiral football. Like maybe we don't tell her she's in the wrong body. They didn't say they were wrong or that it's unethical or that it's against their Hippocratic oath that they take. They're doing it because they're worried about the federal government, so the election worked.
And my question to everyone watching is, how do you trust an institution after this, after they completely deny reality and utilize medical procedures to essentially castrate children? How do you ever trust an institution of doctors this way?
Right.
Especially when there's no accountability after this. I don't think there's going to be accountability for these doctors that have participated in this. There needs to be, and there should be a push for that. And I will join any effort. Actually, screw it. I might even start the damn effort because I don't need, I make moves. We make moves, but we also move movements. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, and we don't need an organization because we organize already. So it's just, it needs to happen. And the fact that these hospitals are doing it without saying that they were wrong is a fallacy. That's a problem.
It is. It is. And what I think what it'll take, Allie, is if you find just a few of those that have been, like, Chloe Cole, that have started, they regret the decision. You could probably work hand in hand with January Littlejohn. I think that's amazing. Sure. There's another, as Allie alluded to at the beginning of the show, there's more good news. We're finally hearing from leadership like Scalise, and he's coming out and saying, I guess, the Post says they're dropping the hammer. They're dropping the Allie an open mic hammer, but whatever. So listen to him talk about what they're doing. Now, they're calling it like almost a SAVE Act Plus. They're going to supersize the SAVE Act. Take a listen, and then we'll talk about it.
Over to the Senate to give them even more incentive to go protect the sanctity of every American's vote, and that is the SAVE Act Plus, a picture ID requirement. Look, you can't even get on an airplane. You can't go to a bar tonight without showing a picture ID, yet there are people in many states where the states actually have laws saying you can't show ID, which is a recipe for fraud, for stealing your vote if you're voting legally so that somebody can come behind you illegally in another country and actually vote and steal your vote. Because if somebody's voting illegally, they're stealing your vote if you're following the rules. So SAVE Act Plus picture ID, we're going to bring that too, send that to the Senate. I think a lot of Americans would like that protection, because if they're following the rules, they just want everybody else to. What makes people angry is when you see boxes of ballots showing up 2 weeks after an election, and then next thing you know, lo and behold, a Democrat takes the lead after being behind for 3 weeks after Election Day. And then somebody who voted by mail in the military, they're overseas fighting to defend our freedoms. Their votes that got in legally before the election are being nullified by somebody illegally. It needs to stop. We're going to have a bill to do just that.
I'm glad that he said it. I think that should have possibly, I don't know, perhaps have been added into the SAVE Act. I don't know, maybe 9 months ago. Just saying. But yes, and possibly putting a limit on how long you can count votes afterwards. Like this, I don't understand why none of this was put in the SAVE Act to begin with, but okay, whatever.
So do you think he's alluding to the fact, Allie, that, I mean, do you think he's foreseeing this being an issue passing through the Senate?
Yes, it is an issue passing through the Senate. We have Senate leadership that has been completely quiet about this. Senate Leader John Thune has been silent since the 15th. He has not posted anything. And then we have John Barrasso, who is the majority whip, who hasn't said anything either. Nobody is saying anything. The only thing that they are saying is that there's not enough votes to pass in the Senate. Okay, so make it happen, majority whip. Isn't that your job?
Yeah,
job.
Since
Senate
when?
leadership, that is your job.
And I don't see that ever on the campaign trail. Like, well, we can't make it happen. I mean, everybody ran on election. Everybody ran on election integrity. After everybody pretty much denied it in 2020, and now they largely have to eat crow. They all ran on this with President Trump. Just a quick reminder, we'll give you just a little bit of a reminder of some of the election issues. Obviously, this is not including the SAVE Act, which let's just make sure only U.S. citizens are voting. But we're going to hear from DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard on exactly some of the other issues that we're tackling with our elections in the build-up to 2026. Take a listen.
And lastly, sir, as you know, declassification and rooting out weaponization, politicization of the intelligence community is a huge priority. You know more than anyone else the very dangerous and negative consequences of that. I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this, election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
This is going to be very interesting as Trump continues to walk down this avenue, because largely your states have sovereignty to be able to carry out the elections. There's certain rules they have to follow federally, but pretty much they can decide. And we are creeping up on 2026, like the elections are happening really fast. You've got August primaries, you've got November, at least here in Florida, August primaries and November general election, where you're probably going to be voting on a lot of your larger gubernatorial candidates. So here's my thing, Allie. In talking to our local supervisor of elections, I don't think they see this really being instituted or any changes in this avenue being done before the 2026 election. So a lot of counties and a lot of municipalities are still going to heavily rely on the machines. So if we don't at least get the voter ID fixed, we could be in trouble in 2026.
100%. And this is why I specifically said that inaction in this context is obstruction. Not only are you showing the American people that election integrity is optional, you are also not providing a way. You're kind of canceling out our vote and our House representatives' votes.
Right.
So you're disenfranchising the American people and the representatives that they gave consent to govern them. That is not the role of a Senate. The role of a Senate is not to be a bottleneck. Right. That's not how this works. So, again, call John Thune and John Barrasso, 202-224-2321 and 202-224-6441. Encourage them to pass the vote.
And I know even though they're not in office today, you can leave a really nice, we always start with a nice voice message that just says, this is what you were elected to do. We'd love to support you by doing this. Like, we will support you when you do this. But you'll get to their voicemail. I want to pivot a little bit because we have talked at great length about many of the independent journalists who would not call themselves journalists. They're just out there they're truth seekers, right? Yeah. But because they have a camera or a phone in their hand, they're kind of journalists now. We thought what Nick Shirley unraveled that was taking place in Minnesota with the daycares that really largely did not have any children, but were getting a lot of state aid to open. We thought that was something. Listen to these gentlemen. Of course, David Kate posted this. They're in Minnesota. Actually, no, where are they? Let me just double check. Oh, they're in Atlanta. Okay,
Ooh.
So they're in Georgia. Think about Fulton County, Georgia.
Oh,
think
okay.
about the botched election that they had there. So they're looking at, okay, you think the daycares in Minnesota were empty, and that was kind of sketchy. Take a look at how this could also correlate with elections. Take a listen.
Here is a similarity between the healthcare fraud in Minnesota and the voter fraud here in Georgia. We were just laughing about it.
Yeah, it's funny because if we were to trust the voter rolls, that means that 96 people are supposed to be sleeping in there, using the bathroom, showering, cooking.
As their main residents.
As their main residents, the same way how there's supposed to be a certain amount of kids at a daycare when they go and visit these daycares in Minnesota owned by Somalis. It's the exact same thing. And a key thing that people don't understand is that all of the welfare fraud starts with voter fraud. If you end up on a voter registration list, you can suddenly start to claim benefits because, oh my God, now you have a residential address.
Yep, exactly. So now they know where to send the checks to.
Well, we're at a UPS store located at 2625 Piedmont Road Northeast in Atlanta, Fulton County, where apparently 96 people are right now actively registered to vote. And the reason we're laughing is because this is such a clear violation of law in Georgia. It's very specific. You cannot use a UPS store, a PO box, a virtual mailbox, whatever you want to call it, as a place of residence.
Wow. What,
You can't do it.
To be kidding me.
But they
Guys,
are.
We cannot make this up. You can't make this up. This is exactly why the SAVE Act needs to be passed. This is why we've been blowing the whistle about this for 8 months.
Well, and this is why you need to make sure that in the SAVE Act, and I think they do talk about how they will clean voter rolls.
Yes.
If you don't have a great supervisor election who's ahead of the curve cleaning voter rolls, I mean, when I, as a state house candidate, was walking just our little neighborhoods, I'm looking at the voter rolls because it's largely public information. I'm looking and I'm like, there's supposed to be 10 people at this address, and I cannot find. And I kept going up and down, and finally I looked, and it was an elementary school. It was an elementary school that somebody used as an address to register to vote. So fortunately, where we live, one email to our supervisor of election that was cleaned up, and largely he's been cleaning the voter rolls since. But I can't say that why should we leave that up to each individual supervisor of elections? Again, he says it starts with voter fraud.
Yes.
And then it goes into robbing taxpayers, not just of their vote, but now of their tax dollars. This is crazy. And that's Fulton County, Georgia.
Wild.
Where they wanted you and I to think to really think that a water main broke right in the middle of the night on election night. First time there were no news media out there to cover this water main break locally, but that's what stopped the county.
Anyway, it's death by 1,000 cuts, you guys. That's what we're experiencing, and our elected representatives are supposed to be a stop loss. But you know what's the stop loss? The stop loss? We the people.
Absolutely. And you know what's honestly very troubling is that in preparing for the show, I'm looking to see what's on the docket for people, whether it was last night, this morning, or tonight. And why do you think those two men are standing in the middle of a parking lot and putting it on social media? Because you can't get anybody to cover it.
No one's covering
like this, and this really upsets me when you have somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is elected to represent that group. I mean, I know she's stepped off and she's now with The View, but she should be screaming this from the hilltops, and largely she was not. Yeah.
She's got to I mean, your platform is wherever you're at, and the people that have the bigger accounts or the bigger platforms, and they're not pushing for citizen activation of guarding our constitutional republic, you're utilizing your platform incorrectly.
Ooh, I love that. It's an abuse of it, right?
You're in a sense. I mean, are you using it only for clicks and rates? or are you using it to actually move a message?
Good point, Allie. Good point. So I think we're going to
I don't
have
get
just
paid for engagement.
no.
You know
But
what I'm saying?
you know it in here. You know what I mean?
Doesn't pay me, and I don't really care because, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was seen by Scott Presler and he goes on Fox News and he gives the information out. I don't care as long as the information gets out and we get the thing passed. It doesn't matter who gets the credit. That's the point. Is that the American people need to be activated, and we need to make sure that our political pressure is applied appropriately and in the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to play a little funny. Normally we save it for the end, but we've got so much that's so hard to believe it's funny. We all love a good uncle, Senator Kennedy. And so he's talking about Doge, because remember, as much as we love Doge, and as much as everybody rode the coattails of Elon Musk and Trump into office, now they've passed this overwhelming spending to an NGO called NED, which largely funnels money back to the Democrat Party, your tax dollars. But this is Senator Kennedy on Fox News. Really, he described it perfectly when you talk about Doge. Take a listen.
I think Elon Musk is a rock star. The tofu crowd is mad, but when you trim fat, pigs squeal. That's just the way the world works. That's the law of nature.
The tofu crowd is upset.
I need Valentine's Day cards.
We need Kennedy Valentine cards
of Senator Kennedy's talking points, like the things that he says, his idioms, because they're hilarious. He is just absolutely hilarious.
You could make a ton of money off of that. I think you should.
I want to sit and drink bourbon and smoke cigars with that man. I so do. The next time I'm in D.C., I'm going to advocate for that. I'm going to go by his office.
Be like, sir, can I buy you a drink? Because
yeah,
I bet
the last time
one
I
or
was there,
two,
he wasn't
one or
there.
two in, he's probably even better. You know what I mean? It's probably really.
I can't. It's amazing. He cracks me up. Gives me life. Gives me hope. And then, it made me so sad. He was on the Senate floor and was on his knees, begging Senator Leader John Thune to act. And I'm like, that is sad, John.
I know.
John. Excuse me, John. Excuse me, John. No. Why are we doing that? Why are we making Senator Kennedy get on his knees and begging you to make some action? That's your responsibility. You're supposed to be a leader. Inaction is a choice. It's not ambiguity.
And for those of our Democrat friends that are joining us because you like to just see what we do.
Oh, we have those?
Oh, as a candidate, we absolutely have those. So I just want to let them know that's us holding the Republicans accountable. We would duly appreciate it if you would do such with your own Democrats. But I won't hold my breath. I want to not necessarily give our viewers hope, false hope, but there is I'm not sure if everybody's aware, because obviously the Clintons didn't show up for the Oversight Committee, the committee hearings where they had a subpoena. They're obviously not in jail either, like we had with Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon under the Biden administration. But I digress. Right. There is a declassification of Hillary Clinton, of all of the Russia collusion, Russia hoax, Crossfire Hurricane documents. It's now being released, which I think this is amazing because we know that the grand jury has been assembled here in the state of Florida in the South District. So let's take a listen to Trump as he's agreeing to declassify Crossfire Hurricane documents. Take a look.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct? Would you say all declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, we'll put everything in the public eye.
Amazing.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? Going to look?
I like how he asked the media, are you going to look?
Yep. Frankly,
are you going to look?
Well, and he said now all the documents are out there. Are you going to, if you want them, if you want to see them.
Yeah, well, they won't. They won't look. It's fine. You know who
But
will?
here's the amazing thing. Through the wonderful use of a computer and internet, these documents are also available for you. And what I would tell our viewing public is it is not fun. There is nothing fun about going in and looking at legislation and trying to make heads or tails of it. There is nothing fun about combing through hundreds of documents. And having a separate page open because my brain is like, what does this mean? What does this word mean? What?
And
so
how does this relate? And
like
then
a
so we
children's
do that.
dictionary.
Yep.
Do you know what I
And
mean?
it's-
Like,
yeah, no, for sure. And it's like, well, legalese, you need a legal dictionary. And you know what I'm saying? And then you got to call your friend because you're like, I know you're a lawyer and you're a government lawyer, and I need to know how this works and why this is important. And then you got to break that down to 4th grade level kitchen table style, and that is the hard part.
and why is shall, like, how is shall different from this? Because if it's worded differently, it speaks very differently. So anyway, this is this is important information. Of course, we will be combing through those documents as well as those that we are in touch with, so we'll be able to bring that to you. But don't rely on just somebody else's reporting, you guys, and certainly don't Google it. Just Google it, because I'll tell you, Allie, I had a Turning Point training for our Turning Point chapters all day Saturday with young people, and I loved it because I would make them try to think about things like immigration, and I'd ask them questions. And then one kid raised his hand, and he said, Miss Michelle, but I just Googled, do illegal immigrants get due process? And it says yes. And I said, oh, I'm so glad you did that. So I had my computer attached to the big screen TV, so I typed it in there, and we walked through the 14th and 15th Amendment and how what Google was saying is that, according to the 14th Amendment, there's due process. What they're not saying is that if you go in to read a little bit further, specifically to illegal immigrants, they're not going to get a government-provided attorney. They're not going to get a jury of their peers. That's due process that we get as citizens. But it was a simple Google search on surface level, and every article was like, yes, they do, yes, they do.
Yep.
And you had to go in.
Dig deep.
And then they weren't even bringing into account recent Supreme Court decisions that said, you know what, under the Aliens Act, they can double down, especially from third world countries. So that's why I hesitate to tell people, do your own research, because you gotta really be careful with that. Allie, one other thing. I'm trying to think how this.
I think so. There's a lot of communicate while you're figuring that out. There's a lot of communication online about, if we made a mistake making John Thune Senate Majority Leader. It's been 13 months in, and there's been 0 election integrity laws passed. No one is securing the vote. Nobody is passing or codifying the President Trump's agenda through the Senate, because the Senate effectively protects the states. And then you have they're not confirming a lot of his nominees either. So do we need to McConnell Thune? Good Lord, can I speak?
McCarthy. You mean McCarthy?
That's what I mean.
Yes. Oh, Allie, that's a great.
We need to McCarthy Thune. I propose Senator Mike Lee become Majority Leader.
That's interesting, Allie. I like that. And I think we're going to hear from Senator Mike Lee in just a bit. We've got a good clip from him. I want to, while we're here on the Hillary Clinton name, I just want to remind everybody. I don't know if you're aware of this. We've covered it here before, but it's been a little while. Barack Obama's Department of Justice had actually ordered and then protected Hillary Rodham Clinton for the way she was storing classified material. So remember how they raided Mar-a-Lago?
Right.
And then they said, oh, it's because we think there's classified material there. And then meanwhile, Joe Biden had boxes of classified material next to his Corvette
Right.
in Pennsylvania.
And God knows where else.
Yeah, so it's interesting because what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. And I want to just remind everybody of exactly what Lisa Page testified under oath that we did not get from Hillary Clinton. Take a look.
About what the Obama Justice Department ordered federal lawyers to do and not to do concerning the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge tells us in sworn testimony on Capitol Hill, one of the insiders told lawmakers what she was told.
During closed-door testimony last summer, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page said the Obama administration's Justice Department advised the FBI not to pursue the gross negligence statute for Hillary Clinton in the mishandling of classified information. Former U.S. Attorney and House Republican John Ratcliffe led the line of questioning about the statute, known as 18 U.S.C. 793. Ratcliffe, you're making it sound like it was the department that told you you're not going to charge gross negligence because we're the prosecutors. Page interrupted. That is correct. Page's testimony appears to conflict with then FBI Director James Comey's recommendation in July 2016 against criminal charges for Clinton.
What I can assure the American people is that this investigation was done honestly, competently, and independently. No outside influence of any kind was brought to bear.
The Republican-led House Oversight and Judiciary Committee investigation ended in January. With Democrats now in control, the committee's new ranking Republican made the Page transcript public.
The transcript releases show an inherent two-tier system, one in which Hillary Clinton gets the treatment that she got, where there was actually at first concern that they were going to charge her, and then with Loretta Lynch in charge, before she recused herself, made it very clear that that was not going to happen.
The tip-off came from a chart drawn up by federal investigators assigned to the Clinton case known as mid-year exam. Fox News has confirmed that the chart listed possible federal statutes for prosecution. Next to gross negligence was a notation, quote, DOJ.
They had done their research and decided these are the federal statutes that say that she had gross negligence. If you or I did that, not just as a government employee, but just as business owners or whatnot, we do not get that same treatment. I think this is tied into what you'll see with Crossfire Hurricane and how much, I'm sorry guys, how much Barack Obama and Joe Biden are really implicated in this because of what they knew before Trump took office in 2017. They didn't hold Hillary Clinton accountable back then, and then they used her fake dossier to be able to go after Trump when you voted him into office. It's really sad.
Where's the accountability? That's what we're waiting on.
Well,
will it come? Is it coming?
I mean, listen, there are a lot of people that think this grand jury is going to start the ball rolling. Our job is to put the pressure on, because I'm not an attorney and I'm not a judge, but I have a mouth, and we're going to make sure that that kind of starts and gets done. That's all we can use, right, Allie?
100%. 100%. It's got to work that way. I'm sure there will be. I mean, you got to have some level of hope, right? Like, I'm tired of these black pillars that are hiding behind anonymity on X or online, and they're like, oh, this is never going to work. It's never going to happen. Okay, well, then sit out.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit on the sidelines then.
Quick update, you guys, on what's taking place or what took place with the Supreme Court. Obviously, hearing the ACLU arguing to be able to put trans women into women's sports. Let me clarify that for you. Biological males in women's sports. Now, we won't hear a ruling until probably this summer, but Fox News is saying they think they know how this is going to lean. Let's take a listen real quick.
Appearing set to uphold a ban on biological men playing in women's and girls sports, as both sides of the debate remain on edge. Constitutional law attorney, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley weighing in on the ruling.
From the head count I made, it seemed like they did have a likely 5-justice majority at a minimum, but we'll have to wait to see. These states, Idaho and West Virginia, said that, look, we believe that California and other states can go ahead and let these transgender athletes play sports, that we agree that they have a right to make that decision, but so do we. We want to keep these sports separate according to birth, to your sex at birth, and that did not go over well with the liberal justices who felt that this could still be a form of discrimination.
Interesting.
Obviously, it's a form of discrimination against women.
I mean, only in the United States
was invented and created. Like, can we not transgender anybody? Is transgender men and transgender women are not men or women. That is just a woman is not injectable hormones and lip filler and makeup and a sports bra
and
or
woman face.
Bra.
It's not just woman face.
That's not what it is. It's not a freaking costume. And the fact that we have actual intellectual people and people within our judicial system that are using the phrasing cisgender to refer to natural born women is like, it's beyond me. I think there's a mind virus and we need inoculation.
And that's why, that's why even sometimes when you're looking at a presidential race and you're looking at two presidential candidates and you're like, well, I don't agree with either one of them 100%. This one kind of bugs me here. This one kind of bugs me here. And you go, you know what? I'm just going to sit out. This is why it's so important, because no matter what you felt personally about Donald Trump in his first term, and now again, he is the reason why we have a majority on the Supreme Court. And without him, things like this don't get ruled on appropriately, because he gets to appoint those Supreme Court justices for life. So, guys, your elections matter even more than you thought they did. Allie alluded to Mike Lee, and he is gonna break down exactly how the Senate could be doing, because we've longly felt like they're not doing enough, how they could be doing more to deliver on Trump's agenda. So Allie brought up the idea of why isn't he
leader,
Senate president? It's a very good question. Yeah. Take a listen to Mike Lee.
Friendly reminder, it doesn't take 60 votes to pass legislation in the Senate. It takes a simple majority. It takes 60 votes to force debate to come to a close. But there are other ways of getting to a final vote. A final vote cast at a simple majority in the Senate that don't involve cloture. All you have to do is keep debating until nobody shows up to debate, or until everybody has exhausted their right to speak. They can only speak twice on the same discrete legislative proposal on the Senate floor during the same legislative day. The same legislative day can be kept open for days, weeks, even months, if necessary, and it has in the past. There are other ways of getting there. We can't continue to see the 60-vote cloture standard as synonymous with what's required to pass a bill in the Senate. That's not how it works. It's not how it was designed. We can do better.
Yes, agreed. And why he isn't Senate president, I don't know. Maybe because he makes too much sense and he's too much like President Trump, and he is the tourniquet that will actually move and keep the egregious overreach and inaction of an obstruction, essentially, of the Senate elite, deep state, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. He,
absolutely, Allie. And I think, part of what I love about what he's done here is he's brought that messaging and common sense thought to you, the American people. He's not just sitting on Fox News somewhere, maybe largely because they might not give him the platform to say what he just said. He brought it directly to you and I. And I think all of our representatives, to some degree, should probably feel comfortable doing that. This social media has given them that ability to go directly to the people. We do need sometimes an explanation of what's happening and what's going on inside. So, guys, keep it locked here. We'll follow.
Especially because there isn't a lot of people that actually understand process. They don't understand the process in which our government works. And that's where, people like me come in. I literally have a class that teaches this. And Senator Mike Lee coming out and saying that directly to the people is so important. We even have House representatives that have done the same thing. They say he said everyone wants a constitutionalist until it's time to be constitutional. He was right.
It's not always pleasant. It's not always pleasant. It's just like, that's so true. Guys, we're going to take a quick break to get you to Liberty Cigars and how you can support your open mic ladies, as well as a wonderful patriotic company. Guys, we'll be right back with more open mic. Don't go anywhere right after this message.
From the heart of Marietta, Georgia, comes a tribute to the spirit of liberty. Liberty Cigars, where history meets craftsmanship. Each cigar tells a story. The Founders Collection honors the visionaries who shaped a nation. The President's House Collection celebrates the leaders who steered it. And the Naval Series salutes the heroes who defended it. Handcrafted with precision, each blend mirrors the essence of its namesake. From the boldness of George Washington to the elegance of Thomas Jefferson. Indulge in a moment of reflection. Light a Liberty cigar and savor the legacy. Discover your story at libertycigars.com, because every great nation deserves a great cigar. Liberty Cigars, smoke the history. And don't forget to use promo code OPENMIC for 10% off your order.
Welcome to Open Mic, ladies, on this amazing, I don't know, MAGA Monday, Martin Luther King Monday. We're so grateful. I know a lot more people are watching because they are home largely from work. So
we thank you guys so much. Thanks for joining us from wherever it is you are watching from. We appreciate you. Don't forget to go to libertycigars.com and use promo code OpenMic and smoke you something.
Smoke the history, as Allie says. So shocking. The cure for cancer, guys, was just approved.
Say what? We can say that now without being
but not for
deplatformed?
Americans. Not for Americans.
Oh.
Are you freaking serious? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that the person I have to hear it from is coming from somebody that was formerly on CNN. But listen, if he's going to report it, we're going to take it. Take a listen from this.
Why do you take this very seriously and believe it could have implications for us here at home?
Well, the why is really, I think there's now really significant proof, multiple trials, 10 years of work in which we've shown that this actually prolongs survival, whether it's breast cancer, lung cancer, and even pancreatic cancer, now glioblastoma. So this is a universal treatment, and that's the why. The how is because the National Cancer Institute predicted, I think as far back as 2012, that this molecule, IL-15, is the #1 molecule on their list that could cure cancer. This is their work.
Wow.
We've now developed this drug. It's approved, and it's approved, as you said, just for this minuscule treatment of bladder cancer. So the why is we have now, since not only your show, not 10,000, now it's up to 13,000 requests. So the Saudis said to me, we believe in this. They reviewed the data, and today they announced the approval for lung cancer.
Wow.
According to him, Saudi Arabia reviewed the science and approved it for lung cancer, but in the U.S., the exact same drug is still restricted to only being able to be used for bladder cancer use. So it's the same drug, it's the same data, it's different outcomes. So very interesting and heart-wrenching, honestly. Because I sometimes joke and say when people are like, why do you share your faith in Jesus? And it's like, well, it's like if you had a cure for cancer. God bless you. And you knew what it was. Would you not tell people about it? Because that's largely what we believe our faith is. But literally, we have a cure for cancer.
Right, you can't. There have been doctors that we've sat in rooms with that have already been treating cancer with other medicines that can't say that they are actually curing cancer because their licenses will be revoked in the United States of America for even uttering the words cure for cancer. It just goes to show you that it's not about health care, it's about symptom maintenance and lifelong partnership or customers between the FDA, the pharmaceutical cartel, which essentially operates like a drug cartel, and the doctors that push them.
Well, and it's funny. I was with Dr. Brian Ardis at an event, and he said, "What's Alzheimer's? Like, if you go into your doctor and you're like, I think I have Alzheimer's, they're going to say, what are your symptoms? What? No, they're going to say, what are your symptoms?
No, I know.
And they're going to say, well, memory loss. There's some different things, memory loss. He's like, then you have memory loss. You don't have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's was named after a person. You have the symptom of memory loss. Why don't we look at what's causing the memory loss and try to help your memory loss instead of classifying you in this like new name of thing that's going to make you have all these drugs that don't necessarily help with memory loss.
You know what?
It's just very interesting.
The reason why they do the classifications and the names is because the insurance companies won't cover you if it's not under a name. So essentially, it's not just the pharma cartel that we're fighting the insurance bureaucracy as well. So the insurance companies, which is why President Trump has come out with his new healthcare savings accounts under the Trump Care Act, Trump Health Care Act or something like that, that should be going through the House here shortly when they decide to get back to work. Because no normal American can work less days than they do and still make 6 figures. Anyway. Yes, but that's wise, so that, you know, the American people can choose where their money goes as far as insurance. What best fits them, not what insurance companies say is better.
Well,
for them.
you're absolutely right, Allie. I'm going to skip through a couple of things that we were going to discuss. I'll just say it verbally, just so you guys know. We are conducting investigations, not Allie and I, but the intelligence community is conducting investigations into Gavin Newsom and where he's misplaced and misappropriated potentially funds for the homeless. And David Spade has a great video.
You thought Minnesota was crazy?
I know. David Spade, the actor, comedian, has a great video out on X. We'll show it maybe in another show. But also, you know, just there have been things that he has potentially been able to sign, like an audit, right? They wanted to do an audit of $20 billion missing from like a homeless fund. And when they got it through the legislature in California, he vetoed it. Governor Newsom did.
Of course he did. That's
nothing to see there, though. I want to take a look at Don Lemon's reporting, if you want to call it that. He was strategically in Minnesota and in a church, which okay, I'm glad you know Jesus. And he's talking about the rioters that came into Minnesota, into a church, y'all. Into a church. Listen to the propaganda Don Lemon is spewing. Take a look.
This is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street, you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. And if you remember what the Civil Rights Movement was about, the Civil Rights Movement was about these very kinds of protests. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you what time.
Absolutely not.
The Civil Rights Movement was about these. He sounds like Kamala Harris. Now I'm going to ask you one question, American people. Was the Civil Rights Movement a movement for those that enter our country illegally?
No.
Thank you.
It was not. The hell is Don Lemon talking about?
He doesn't know. And this is why, it caught me this weekend when I had, God bless him, a 15-year-old say, I Googled it, and it turns out illegal immigrants do get due process. Well, when you look at what they get, it's not a jury of your peers. They're not going to get a taxpayer-funded attorney. It's not the same. There is a process. And then you're also, like I said, you're also not taking into effect the new Supreme Court rulings that show under the Aliens Act, which they said President Trump was operating under. He, through third world countries, he can send them back largely. And there's a, oh goodness, I don't have the exact act in front of me, but I saw it this morning. There's another act that says at wartime. Well, you could largely say, you know, are we at war with when he declared cartels, terrorist organizations? Guess what? Now we're at war with them. Guess what? If you're in this country and you're tied to those cartels and those gangs, you're now able. This is why it's so strategic what he had to do.
But like, can you imagine being like, why a church? And they went into the church thinking that one of their parishioners or one of the leaders of the church or pastors of the church is an ICE agent. So that gives you the right to barge in to a sanctuary and start like how is this even possible? I don't even know. And then you have Tim Walz, who goes on the news today, and he's talking about how it was radical, like other than what it actually was. And you're just sitting here like, what kind of I can't. I don't even.
Well, and so I'm going to skip ahead because Sheriff Grady Judd, right here from Polk County in Florida, he kind of, he got asked a question about undocumented migrants. And I know it's a long press conference. We're not going to listen to all of it, but maybe just a minute or so. But I want you guys to hear Sheriff Grady Judd because he kind of explained it very well. Take a listen.
This question is for Sheriff Grady Judd. Since participating in the 287 Jeep program, how many undocumented immigrants have been transferred?
Well, I don't call them undocumented immigrants. I call them illegal immigrants because that's what they are. The reason they're not documented is they're not legal. Okay, they're illegal immigrants. 74% of the illegal immigrants that we've detained have had criminal charges against them. Okay, the other 26% were riding with them. Okay, So when we stop a car, we run a warrants check on everybody in the car. When there's a call for service, we run a warrants check on the victim, the suspect, and all the witnesses, okay? We call that 26% collateral. But 3 out of 4 of them have committed another criminal charge. Now think about that for a second. They couldn't commit that crime if they weren't here, but they did. So now you're having to take your taxpayer money and my taxpayer money and pay for the prosecution of those folks, pay for the public defender that defends them, pay for the jail and the prison sentence depending on what the charges are. So and the majority of the 26% that was left out of the 74% of them had criminal charges. They were what we call collaterals, and most of them were with the person committing the crime. And that's the numbers that we have so far. And those, so how many illegal immigrants have we arrested this year? We've arrested 557 that have criminal charges as well as they're here illegally. That's just this year.
We can bring it back, David.
But here's the thing.
I was told that
so
Florida didn't
sad.
have this problem.
Right, yeah, no, literally from sheriff's mouths themselves. But we've assisted in arresting and detaining over 20,000 of them. So yeah, it was a problem when we brought it to you. Just so you know, we're waiting for an apology. But we won't get one.
I'll grow old waiting for that.
Right. I think it is a shame that the sheriff has to educate the press pool on top of providing information pertinent to the public. That is a shame.
And very few people do it quite as good as Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. We love him and we thank him. Allie, I know we're coming up on a hard stop, so I want to make sure we get to this.
Dang, already?
I know. I want to take a look at, hold on, what is this one? Let's do a look at history. David, I labeled it as a look at history. It's a couple minutes long, but listen, I don't know who made this. Let me see who posted it, because this is like gold, you guys. Turn your volume up. You're going to want to always go back to this. Bridget Fertig at Light on Liberty posted this, but she said, who made this? Like, we need to know who made this. This is amazing. A look at history as immigration is debated and Trump's potential response. Let's take a look.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace, as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws.
What?
Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system, and I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. But today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. There are actions I have the legal authority to take as president. Tonight, I'm announcing those actions. We'll build on our progress at the border with additional resources for our law enforcement personnel, so that they can stem the flow of illegal crossings and speed the return of those who do cross over. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. We expect that those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, They're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, question my authority, question my authority, question my authority, question my authority, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill.
Pass the SAVE Act.
But listen, he's talking about immigration. He's saying if you don't like the fact that I, as the CEO of the United States, and Barack Obama, that sounds like vinegar coming out of my mouth, but if you don't like the fact that I'm acting within my capacity to secure the border, to deport illegals that are here criminally, he said they did under the Obama administration, and they did more than Trump's ever done. Take a look at those numbers. But if you don't like it, instead of questioning my authority, pass a bill. Fix immigration law. Everybody who's in Washington, D.C. has had the opportunity. Nobody has taken that up. Nobody. And no NGO who gets your tax dollars, who says their hearts are bleeding for these poor people who are coming here because they have no other place to go, meanwhile contributing to sexual human trafficking and trafficking of children. None of those NGOs have worked cohesively with those that you elect to try to pass better immigration reform. They've just boycotted the whole immigration reform system, and they've gone to stealing your money and stealing your elections.
Do you want to know why? Because it keeps the NGO functioning. If
Oh,
they solve
absolutely.
all the
We know
problems,
that.
there's no reason for them to exist. That's the point.
If they cut the spigot of fraud and illegals voting, they don't have anybody elected in the foreseeable future. This is the only way the Democrat Party gets anybody elected.
100%. And Wesley Hunt just spoke about this while he was on the dais, and he said that this fraud has led to Democrats having 18 seats, 18 extra seats. When that fraud is uncovered and goes away and is solved, that problem is solved, they lose all 18 seats.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
there
that's
you have,
huge.
And there you have two Democrat presidents who were just as hard, at least verbally, just as hard on illegal immigration, and Barack Obama twice as hard on deportation. And nobody said a damn thing.
Nobody bat an eye. Guys, this is why it's so important for you to connect what they say while they're on the campaign trail and what they actually do while they are in office. That is why applying our political pressure at the appropriate political pressure points moves the needle. This is why we are loud on social media, because for whatever reason, they are terrified of public scrutiny. So we utilize that fear and we push on it. And that is how we the people keep our republic, by being politically engaged.
Yes, and absolutely. Guys, we're up against a hard stop. I want you to go to openmicladies.com. You can contact us at contact@openmicladies.com. You can also visit thehollowalliance.com. We are constantly updating our call to actions there. They're always changing. Make sure you follow us, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining Open Mic today for this wonderful MAGA Monday.
And don't forget, we will have Spaces tonight with David Pollack at 8 p.m., I believe. That's tonight. You can follow myself. I'll be in there. Or you can follow at David Pollack USA to be notified of when that space airs. We are going to be talking about all of this stuff. So
absolutely.
Get in there.
Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
What do you do when the gas is high? Inflation's up in the sky.